And welcome back to Backyard Adventures with Andy. Today we're talking about one of my favorite things in my yard, my hazelnut slash filbert trees. I'll tell you a little bit of the story of those, what they are, show you some footage from kind of what they look like throughout the year. I think it'll be pretty interesting to kind of get some insight on these and maybe tempt you to grow these for yourself. So enjoy today's little video. So talking about nut trees, specifically filbert and hazelnuts, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is I've had these 4 trees behind me for a number of years. I think I planted them 7 years ago, and I'll actually show you some different pictures of different seasons of the year and what these look like. Right now I'm in early spring, so in March here in the Pacific Northwest, and hazelnut filberts are actually the same thing. If you're from Oregon, you typically will call them hazelnuts. Filberts is more of the European name, kind of widespread name. I'm not fully sure the history of that. Some people say the filbert was named after some French, I think it was a French priest or saint or something like that. But anyway, hazelnut filberts, same thing. In the United States, like 98% or a huge, like 99%, a huge chunk of the hazelnuts that are actually grown and eaten in the U.S., well, I guess at least grown in the U.S., are produced in Oregon, the Willamette Valley of Portland area. And they grow well in lots of different regions. You can have them over in the the Great Lakes area, up in the Pacific Northwest, and I hear they can grow in lots of different areas. Typically, they like to be more damp, so they don't really like to dry out. So you might have some things to consider if you're kind of in that sort of climate. But these trees are really simple to grow. I'm going to show you some pictures of these things as we go along. But during the growing season, they have just a beautiful foliage on them, the leaves, nice shape, and then as you get into the winter time when the leaves are all gone, you get these really long catkins. These got the kind of the male pollination factor that will typically around, I'd say, well, in winter, maybe January, early February, you see the wind blow and you'll see this little powder of pollen from those that go and they pollinate each other through the wind and gets on the little tiny flowers, the female, and will pollinate that for the growing season. And those flowers will quickly light up the world and start growing in the spring. In fact, the ones behind me, these are from, well, I guess this is early spring. You can start to see the catkins mostly all falling down to the ground. Kind of looks like almost like a brown dirt. And those will just kind of fade off into the grass and the soil. But you can start to see these little nuts and these little future amazing things starting to grow. So as this season changes, you're going to see the leaves grow. These nuts will start to grow in little clusters, and usually around August, these things will kick into kind of being ripe. Late August through September, at least up here in the Pacific Northwest, that's kind of when they are ripe. And shortly before they're ripe, you're going to see the squirrels going crazy. I go to war with them every year. They've won most years from the battles so far. I've got some other videos you can see about how I'm catching squirrels in a humane way and making them go live somewhere else. But anyway, so yeah, they'll ripen up. The squirrels go after them like crazy, and also the Steller Jays, kind of like a deep blue and black, beautiful bird. They just go crazy all throughout August into September, enjoying those. And then pretty much when the nuts are gone, the squirrels go live in other places, and eventually these little weeds grow up, these little trees grow up. I'm sure in all my neighbors' yards. I'm sure they love me for that. I wanted to try to point out the height of these things. So again, these are 7, 8 years old, and you can kind of see in the skyline back there, these trees are not small. In fact, that one over there, that's a good, at least 22 to 24 feet tall. The one right behind me here, that's a good 15, 17 feet or so. These trees grow pretty tall, and I would say a good, 12 feet wide, at least 15 feet wide. Maybe on the biggest one there. You do need a pollinator, so you gotta have 2 different varieties, which is why I've got the Butler and the Barcelona. One of these seems like is a different nut. I've got one that's a really long nut. I wonder if someone switched a label back when I bought these, because it's a different shaped nut. And then I've got the just the traditional filbert hazelnut, the big round ball. Just amazing nuts. So I want to take you and show you a little bit about one of these trees that I found, one of these little starts that a couple years ago I went and dug up and put in a pot, and it's starting to turn into a little tree. Let me take you and show you that. All right, I wanted to show you real quick a couple other nut trees I've got around the yard. So those are the big ones I've had for, I don't know, 7 years, 8 years, whatever it's been. But then I've got these. These are a couple of starts that I dug up. This one I dug up last year. It was a 1-year-old start. So it's, you know, a year and a half old or so. Hold on, the dog wants a ball thrown. It's kind of hard to film with a German Shepherd. She always wants some interest. Anyway, so you can see here, I'll zoom in, but there's a lot of life in this young tree as it starts to grow. So I'll let that one grow. And then I also dug this one up. This is a 2-year-old one, possibly 3. I can't remember exactly, but again, same thing. It was growing out in the garden, and dug it up, and it's, you know, what is that now? Probably 3-4 feet, more than 3 feet, 3.5 feet or so, looking beautiful, and I can really see this thing continuing to grow well this year. So I'm going to keep growing these things in pots for another year or two at least for this one, and we'll see about that one. As far as the care of the trees, you do want to keep the soil moist. These things don't typically like to dry out, so you know, a climate like the Pacific Northwest, or you know, areas where you're getting decent rain, or at least you've got some water in there, these trees will thrive a lot better. That's why they grow so well in the Oregon area, Willamette Valley area. But again, I'll always mulch down around them, keep some kind of healthy soil, help keep the soil damp. You know, if there's a damaged branch, I might cut that off, but not a lot of pruning needed. And then the biggest issue, you know, is the squirrels, for me at least. I'm constantly fighting the squirrels and the Steller Jays. They can have the nuts. They're kind of fun to watch. The squirrels, they just do too much, and they dig them all. They put the nuts all over the place. Yeah. Anyway. These are some fun trees to grow. It's different than a fruit tree. They're beautiful. When people come over in August, September, I gotta show, you know, even actually July, I show them the nuts, and you can kind of see them growing there. Just a beautiful little treat in the yard, something fun to look at. So really challenge you to consider maybe one less fruit tree. We'll put a couple of nut trees. Well, I guess it'd be 2 less fruit trees, but consider putting a couple of nut trees in, see what they look like. They'll also change your neighborhood perhaps as squirrels launch the seeds all over the place, and see what happens in 10-20 years. But anyway, hopefully that's helpful. If you got some questions, let me know. I'll definitely do some follow-up videos, as I love watching these trees grow and kind of see what happens. So have a good life.